Hello and welcome, Wildcat fans, to another edition of the Cat's Corner presented by Gates Chevrolet. I am your host, Coach P, and today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm joined here at the desk by now again assistant coach Mike Bush. He and I usually suffer under the wrath of Coach Daniel together, but this week you had an opportunity, Mike, to jump into the driver's seat due to the festivities at the Marion game. Coach Daniel was unable to be there, so we've brought you into the hot seat this week to talk about the game that we had against John Glenn. So let's just start there. What are your, first impressions of the game?
First impressions of John Glenn, it wasn't pretty at all. It was something that the team and we all needed to go through together. But it was an ugly win. Going into the fourth quarter, being 22-22 is something that we haven't seen this year, and I don't think we'll see it again for a while. Slowed down the pace, and our players just had to learn how to play a different style of basketball.
So speaking of things that are probably never going to happen again, you and I have been sitting here kind of going over these numbers for the last couple minutes. We're not going to cover a lot of them, but one of them that jumps out to me, 0 for 15 from 3 in that game. Now, I know strategy-wise we went into that game really not even intending to pull that many threes, but did you ever think that a world existed where you could actually win a game after going 0 for 15 from 3?
First off, I didn't think it was possible that this team would go 0 of 15 from 3. One thing we do as a coaching staff is instill a lot of confidence in all of our players. I was confident in a lot of those shots, but it got to a point where none were falling. 0 of 15 for 3 to still find a way to win is pretty big. Shows a lot of growth on our players. Second half, we didn't take as many. I bet more than half of those 15 came from the first half, but it showed our players that we can win a different way. We don't got to rely on the 3 ball. Going into the game, one of the things that we talked about as a team was good versus great. And I think that first half we settled for a lot of good shots. Those good shots didn't fall. They became bad shots. Second half, we just had to turn it around and get to the basket.
Yeah. And you talked about some of the growth of the team. One of the things that really stood out to me, and you brought it up, going into that fourth quarter, the game was tied 22-22. Over the course of the season, our record, I guess, or our tendency is to get up big and then maybe to give a little bit of that lead back. So we haven't been a great closing team. Well, in this one, we came out and in that fourth quarter, started tied at 22, and by the end of it, we had outscored Glenn 13-2 in the fourth quarter. So just talk about that progression. And even in a game like this where maybe things were tough, there's still things that you learn.
Yeah, we've been talking about it as a team, but the last 3 games, and don't quote me, but we've been up 25 at a point, 26 at a point, and then 26 again at another point. We all win those games within a 10-point margin. So we got a tendency of just loosening up after we get a big lead. This game going into the fourth quarter is tied up, and now we don't have that same type of reassurance that we have a lead to back on. And I'm proud of our older guys and just the guys who fought it out. We go into that fourth quarter and I don't even know how to put it, but it was no relax in us. But we never felt comfortable. Shout out to Aiden. Aiden had 2 very big rebounds and 1 putback that gave us some comfort. But our guys just had to grind that one out.
And speaking of Aiden, he was named the catalyst after this game. That's a new thing that we've started this season. Not a lot of big numbers really across the board as you look at the box score. He finished with 6 points, but 4 of those came on and ones, as you said, in the fourth quarter. So really when we needed it the most. He also had 10 rebounds. So in a game like this, I think it was somewhere around 40 possessions in this game. Even though his numbers maybe aren't huge, the impact that he had was huge. So just kind of speak on him a little bit more.
Aiden picked up 2 fouls early in the first half, and we had to sit him pretty much the whole first half.
Got him out of his rhythm.
Got him out of his rhythm. But by the time Aiden got back in, he hit the ground running. Aiden, energy-wise, was big for our team. He stayed positive even through the first half when he couldn't play. He was still a good teammate, clapping, cheering people on the bench. And then on the rebounds, he was just a beast. Those 2 and 1s might have won us the game. Without those second chance points and him going to the line, knocking down those free throws, I don't think we leave there with a W.
Another kid that had some great minutes that night, I wanted to point out Jaden Stamps. Again, doesn't necessarily jump out at you on the stat sheet, but 4 rebounds. He was 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Just great minutes when he did come into the game. So all in all, wasn't a pretty win, but we'll take all the W's that we can get, right? Definitely. And it was your second opportunity to sit there in the driver's seat. So before we close up this little section with you, how'd you enjoy being in the driver's seat?
I enjoyed it from an experience standpoint. it's a lot of heat on you when you're in the driver's seat, especially it being my first time. It's a lot of heat, and I'm glad that I got the experience. But I'm cool with being in that.
You ready to
in that
go back to your regular
I'm cool
job?
with being in the passenger seat.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and close up shop on this section. We've got a couple of different parts of the show today. So thank you, Mike, for joining us here at the desk. Hopefully we never have to speak to you here again because Alex will be there for all of them.
Yep.
So we're going to pack up, and when we come back, we'll be here with another guest. All right, Wildcat fans, we are here back at the desk, and as promised, I've got a different guest with me. So we've switched Coach Mike out, and we're in here now with the marvelous Marvin Schindler. I guess let's start there, Marv. I've given you a number of nicknames already over the course of the season. Which one is your favorite?
Marvelous Marvin for sure.
Marvelous Marvin. All right, so that's what it is, and that's what it's going to be from here on out. Marvelous Marvin. All right, so this is the first time we've had a player up here, man. We're here in the Cat's Corner. We love to give all the information to the fans that we can, right? But we needed to bring some players in here to give the players' perspective, right? Coaches could sit in here and talk all day long. So just right off the top, man, 5-0. Can't get much better than that, right? So how do you feel about where we're at in this season and where we are as a team?
I feel great. We're striving for greatness right now. As long as we keep up the grit that we have right now, we should be okay.
Talk about the chemistry. What kind of group is this?
Amazing. It's just fun. It's a fun group. We're competitive right now. We love playing with each other right now. So I think that's the key right now.
And how important is it, do you think, that you've got kind of a core group has really been kind of building over the last 3 years, right? We're 5-0 now, but it's taken a lot of time and a lot of work to kind of get to this point. How important has that been?
That's very important. Without team chemistry, I don't think the team would be anything. It took a few years for us to learn each other, all the things that we can do, what we do well, what we don't do well, and that helped a lot.
So what's the ceiling for this team? What are you guys' goal this season? Goals, I should say.
A winning record, for sure. We want to win a sectional championship to start off with that. And, of course, we want to make a state run, but steps game by game with that.
One day at a time. That's something that Coach Daniel preaches to you guys,
Yeah.
right?
Every
So
day.
what's going to be the most important thing to get us there? What do you think?
Our toughness.
Okay.
Yeah, our toughness. I would say have to be hungry to win. Like we can't. Oh, we got this many wins, this many losses. It doesn't matter when it becomes playoff. Wins doesn't matter. Losses doesn't matter. Everybody wants the same outcome.
Absolutely. All right, so we knocked off Glenn last week. You got to sit in here and watch Coach Mike and I kind of talk about that game. Not the prettiest game. You want to just give us maybe your quick impressions of how that game went and if you took anything from it that you'll use moving forward.
Oof, that game, it was ugly, but a win is a win. I mean, one thing that I would take from that game is I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. That game, I came out of halftime like, it don't matter what I have to do. I'm gonna do it to win. We cannot have our first loss coming into next week by John Glenn. We cannot. I'm not letting it happen.
So you bring up next week, and now there's going to be a huge sort of contrast in styles. We rolled out to Glenn. We played them. They wanted to kind of possess the ball, rotate that thing 100 times back and forth before they took a shot, right? I think we said earlier about a 40-possession game. This is going to be total opposite. Now we're going to run into Northridge. After that, we're going to run into St. Joe. Both teams like to run. Does that make you feel excited and more comfortable, or how does that feel going into those games?
More confident, comfortable. My style of play. I like to play fast, for sure. So it's going to be a good game.
Okay. All right. I think that's about it, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap up, but thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations on a great start to the season, 5-0. We talked about the Catalyst Award. I know you've won a couple of them already. You're currently leading the team in scoring and assists, if I'm not mistaken. So continue that good work, man. We appreciate you. And when we return, we're going to have the big cat himself right here at the desk, and we'll talk about the teams that we're going to be facing off next week, Northridge and St. Joe, as we just said. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, Wildcat fans, we are back once again at the desk, and this time I am joined by the big cat himself, the head coach of the boys basketball program here at Riley, head coach Alex Daniel. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to jump into the teams that we're facing next week. We've got two really huge games against two really high-quality teams. The first one is going to be against Northridge. This is going to be on Tuesday. They come into this game 3-1. They've got wins over Elkhart, Westview, and Valpo. They did lose one to CMA, and then they've got Angola actually tonight, which maybe kind of lets out a secret. We're shooting this on Saturday, so there is a lot of Saturday games that we won't have details for you, of course. But a really good team. Looking at the tape, a fast-paced team, high-skilled team. They like to move the ball and just kind of let that thing fly. They're led by 6'1" junior Mason Bales. Just a good all-around, 3-level scorer, good defender. But outside of him, they've got a lot of other pieces too. So what are your early impressions of Northridge, and how do you feel going into this one in your big return to the sidelines?
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Northridge is a team, like you said, that wants to play fast. They think they have a bunch of confident guys that step on the floor. And so if you allow them to play in rhythm and to be confident, they're gonna knock in shots, and they're gonna extend you out beyond the 3-point line, which continues to make them a hard guard. So you got to do a good job early and often on them defensively, and we've had some success against them the past couple of years, but new team, and so there's a lot of things that go into trying to get a stop against Northridge.
And to throw a couple of other names out there that they're going to bring in, Gideon Campbell is another one of their guards, a 5'11" shooter. He made 5 3-pointers against Valpo. So to your point, they got a lot of different guys that can let that thing go, and if they get hot, they can be trouble. Another guy is a 6'5", 210-pound sophomore, Brady Scholl, a big kid, not the most athletic guy in the world, but a super skilled guy, especially for a kid as young as he is. So they're definitely coming in with some talent. So what's the overall strategy going into this one? We just talked to Marv. He's excited because he feels like this is one where he's going to get to run a little bit. So what's our strategy going in?
I think we want to play fast too, but we want to be the more organized team, the more disciplined team when you play at that pace. So I think the team that can push it, but at the same time control the game and the tempo of the game, and take care of the basketball is going to be huge, because I think you're going to see a lot of possessions, you're going to see a lot of up and down, but how well can you execute in those possessions is going to be important. So not settling for the 3 at times. You got to score at the rim as well. They're a team, like you mentioned, the big kid inside. He's got a lot of room to work because you have to worry about them on the 3-point line. So you got to do a good job on him, and make sure we're cleaning up the glass as well.
So you mentioned size. Do you think the size is going to be a factor in this one? They've got the 6'5" kid in the middle, but outside of that, most of their guys are right around the 6-foot range. Do you think size is something that could really come into play in this one for us?
I hope so. We're not a lot of back to the basket guys, but we gotta use our size to our advantage in different ways. Offensive rebounds, getting the ball around the rim, finishing over the top, all that kind of stuff. So their lack of size they make up for in the pace of play that they play, the shots that they shoot, and those kinds of things. So they'll try to negate some of your size quite a bit. And defensively they're going to fight. So regardless of how many inches taller we are than them at certain positions, doesn't mean that they're not going to sit down and try to guard us. So
Sure.
we got our hands full.
So what I'm hearing is we got to control the glass, we got to limit turnovers, we got to make shots. I'm guessing that's probably always going to be the formula, especially moving then into the next game next week. This is going to be Friday. This is one that we've talked about in our last couple of episodes because there's a big event attached to it just for kicks. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's cover the basketball stuff first. So St. Joe, another team coming in. They'll be 3-1. They're 2-0 in the conference. They've knocked off Concord, Jimtown, and Goshen. I think maybe that's incorrect, actually. They play Goshen tonight, but they lost to a really good Chesterton team. One of the more talented teams in the area, though, I think on paper anyways. Chase Kaniski. Can you help me with the name?
Kaniski.
There you go. Yeah. Chase is a great player, 6'4", 175 pounds. Of course, his brother's over at Notre Dame playing right now. Basically a 20-point game per game guy. He averaged 19 last year as a junior. They also bring back Jace Lee. Now, he's a Division I baseball player, but anytime you're a Division I athlete, there's something there. 6'4", 185 pounds, just really athletic. Already seen a number of highlight plays from him this year. And then another kid to throw on their list, Nick Shrewsbury, is the son of the new Notre Dame men's basketball coach. Another 6'4" shooter. Seems to have a really smooth game. So St. Joe definitely looks to be a huge challenge on Friday. So just talk about how you feel going into that one and kind of what you see coming at you.
Yeah, they like you mentioned, they have 3 really talented basketball players.
Now they're not bad after that. A lot of teams there's kind of a drop
no,
off,
it
and
doesn't.
there's not a huge
There's
drop
not
off.
a huge drop off. Those three obviously stand out with their size at their positions, I think. And Lee and Knesny, being returners and guys that have done this before. So their size across the board in general is something to worry about. They for their starting lineup, I think they're 6'2" to 6'5", all five guys, just good length, size, athleticism, good basketball players. I think they're pressing a lot more this year, just trying to use that length to create turnovers and get the pace they want to play. So we just got to make sure that we take care of the ball again. We talk about that pace of play. We have no problem playing up and down, but we can't. We got to know when they're going on their runs and when we're going on our runs, and make sure that we, play those smart, pull it out if we need to. Don't put yourself in bad situations. So they're a good team. They're a really good team, and obviously a conference opponent and one that we're going to gear up for.
And so then I brought it up a minute ago. Let's go ahead and make sure that we cover this. We've talked about it in the last couple of episodes. Friday versus St. Joe is also a big community event for our program. We're calling it Just for Kicks. We're basically accepting shoe donations. So if you got some shoes maybe in the back of your closet, you need to clear out some space for all the new Christmas presents coming in. Throw them in a bag. Bring them on down to the school. If you bring them down the night of the game, you can actually get free admission to the game. And this is a big event that we've planned with a number of other organizations in the community. If you could just kind of speak to those partnerships and why we're involved in something like this.
Yeah, we partnered with local organizations, the Center for the Homeless, Hope Ministries, Salvation Army Croc Center, as well as St. Margaret's House. And then Dimensions in the mall is also helping with shoe donations and those kinds of things. So hoping to turn this thing into something that not only that Riley can be proud of, but our community can be proud of, and just an opportunity around Christmas season to give back.
Absolutely. So again, we're accepting shoe donations, trying to collect as many as we can. We're going to turn around and distribute those to these organizations that we're working with, so they will go directly to people in the community in need. And as Coach said, it's Christmas season. I don't think there's probably a better time of the year to do some work like that. So a great event Friday, a couple of great basketball games next week. We're looking forward to some up-tempo, high-scoring, hopefully winning basketball for the Riley Wildcats. So by the time we meet back here again, we're going to have all kinds of fun stuff to talk about, hopefully a couple of new wins to talk about, and also hopefully a big pile of shoes to talk about because we just donated. So I think we've thrown enough information at you for the day. Had a couple of surprise guests on the show. Hopefully they were a little more interesting than Coach Daniel and I are sometimes. And hopefully we'll continue to do that moving forward too. We'll have more players at the desk and continue to let you guys get to know them a little better. So until we're at the desk again, stay tuned to all of our social media channels. As always, going to be lots of information and content there. And until then, as always, I'm Coach P for the Cats Corner with the big cat himself, head coach Alex Daniel. And we will see you next time. Go Cats.
I want to freaking win.